A disgraced former assemblyman will spend more than a decade in prison. William Boyland Jr. was sentenced today for a crime you paid for, submitting more than 200 false vouchers for expenses he claims he ran up while he was working in Albany. One big problem, though, he was actually out of the state or even out of the country at the time. Our Greg Floyd broke this story. Again, criminal action you paid for. He's just back from Brooklyn, where Boyland learned his fate today. Greg?
Well, Cody, it was the bogus per diem expenses, also bribes in return for political favors, skimming money from a nonprofit. That was the trifecta that William Boyland Jr. was convicted of. Prosecutors wanted a 19-year sentence. Instead, Boyland got 14. His attorney stressed Boyland's good deeds, his work as a Bible studies teacher, a member of the church choir. But the prosecution said he sold his power to the highest bidder, and the scope of his arrogance was staggering.
He had a habit of not showing up in Albany when he was supposed to, but we certainly know where former Assemblymember William Boyland Jr. will be for at least the next 14 years. That was his sentence today for 21 counts of bribery, extortion, and honest services fraud. The prosecution calls Boyland the perfect storm of corruption, but his father, who is also a former member of the Assembly from here in Brooklyn, looks at it a different way. Mr. Boyland, do you think your son is remorseful?
Well, certainly. Didn't you see the tears in his eyes?
You think he knows what he did was wrong finally?
Well, in the game, there's just so much. You know, you're doing so many things. Sometimes you make mistakes. That's about what he did.
We tracked his expenses for years and found things often did not add up. He put in for per diems, expense money for working at the Capitol. On days attendance records show he was not in Albany. And on days court records show he was in New York City talking bribes with undercover federal agents. And even on the day in 2011 when he was actually in federal court in New York City being arraigned. At first, he would play dumb with me.
I don't have a clue as to what you are speaking to.
Then he would just try to avoid me and the facts.
You don't want to say something to the taxpayers of the state?
Wow, God, we're doing this again.
He stole about $70,000 in per diem money, your money. He was also convicted of taking bribes while working on dirty deals in his district and skimming money from a nonprofit. In court, his attorney argued other convicted lawmakers got just a few years in prison, so Boyland should get the same. The judge didn't buy that for a second.
I was just trying to delineate what other people did, which was similar to what he did, although the judge was correct in saying he was convicted of 21 counts, and there was a number of schemes involved in his case.
He really is a very good man, and he cares so much about his community, and that's the issue here, that you have to do so much in life and try to help people. You make mistakes sometimes.
He did steal $70,000 from the taxpayers, though, by filing false vouchers.
That is questionable.
Well, he was convicted by a jury.
Yeah, but it's done. They convicted him.
Because of Boyland's misdeeds and our reporting of them, the Assembly has changed its per diem expense form to warn lawmakers that lying on the form is a crime. But still, amazingly, no documentation or receipts are required.
And of course, it was just 4 days ago that William Scarborough, another former Assembly member, was sentenced also for cheating on his per diems.
It seems to be something that happens a lot in the legislature.
And that's why we keep following it. Yep.
Yeah. Now, what is next here? Is this the end of the line for Boyland? Is this the last we're going to hear from him?
Well, he's got 14 days to file a notice of appeal, but guess what? He still keeps taking our money, and it's perfectly legal because he will get his pension. I checked with the state controller.
Wow.
He's eligible for a part-time reduced pension in just 10 years, full-time pension a few years after that. And he also is being paid with taxpayer money. His lawyers are. His legal fees are being paid for. He has no money, so it's a public defender representing him. Our money.
We keep paying for it.
We sure do.
All right, Greg.
We'll keep staying on top of it, too.
Thank you.
Yep.